Well, hello, my lovelies. It's Murky Meg here. Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. I bring you happy news, and I would say Tide greetings, but I think that's Christmas time. I'm getting a bit confused there. Harry and Meghan are officially a laughingstock in Hollywood, and I'm down for it, quite frankly. So we all know that South Park had a humongous dig at them. They did a whole episode dedicated to just how hypocritical Harry and Meghan were, and it was very, very funny. It got a lot of noise and a lot of attention, and I can imagine they were quite upset about it, but hey, them the breaks, Chuckies. So we've had South Park rip an absolute new one into them, and now it appears that Family Guy are doing exactly the same. They have painted them as work-shy grifters who post Instagram photos worth $250,000 and earn Netflix cash for no one knows what. So not only did South Park give them this treatment, now Family Guy are giving this treatment again. Oh my God, can you imagine? Plates and teacups and kettles will be thrown. You don't have kettles in America, do you? Which I find very, very weird. Some people do, but it's not very common practice to have a kettle in your kitchen. Well, you do, it's on the stove, but we have an electric kettle. So maybe your type of kettles that go on the stove that can be thrown in America are quite easy to be thrown, because having a kettle by a power cord can't be easy to be thrown. I digress, I'm sorry. I'm delirious with joy because this is just so funny that they've been mocked twice now on a very popular satire cartoon. So apparently in an episode from the newest series of Family Guy, which is a cartoon satire, which aired on Sunday, the main character, Peter Griffin, compares himself to the royal couple who stepped down as working royals of the British royal family in 2020 and moved to the US. Sitting in a bar with his friends as he thinks of ways to retrieve money he is owed, Peter Griffin says he'll go it alone, just like the Sussexes. The scene then cuts away to the royal couple lounging by the pool in their swimwear, while a butler waits on them to hand them millions from Netflix. So in the clip, the Sussexes are pictured enjoying fizzy drinks by their pool, while quintessentially British-looking butler hands them the paycheck. He tells the Duke, "Sir, your millions from Netflix for, no one knows what." Then the cartoon Harry replies, "Put it with the rest of them," in a British accent, reminiscent of Dick Van Dyke's Cockney character in Mary Poppins. I won't do it. I'm sorry, I'm losing it. I really, really am. As the butler scuttles off, Meghan's phone buzzes with a notification. She tells Harry, "Babe, it's time to do our daily $250,000 sponsored Instagram post for Del Taco." And I'm pretty certain this is a little dig at her In-N-Out pap disaster photo. Wouldn't that be the perfect irony? Do you not find it weird how in the last year or so, Harry and Meghan, independently or together, have referred to In-N-Out so much? I swear they're sponsored. It's a cheeky under-the-desk deal. The then despondent Harry, staring off into the distance, replies, "I shouldn't have left the made-up nonsense," in an apparent dig to the British monarchy. Now, obviously, the grifters term came from the Spotify executive Bill Simmons, who is the head of podcast innovation, when he branded them effing grifters. In his own podcast, he said, "The effing grifters, that's the podcast we should have launched with them. I've got to get drunk one night and tell the story of the Zoom I had with Harry to try and help him with podcast ideas. It's one of my best stories. Please, Mr. Simmons, I beg you, tell the story." Because it can't be the one where he submitted an idea about interviewing Trump, Putin and Mark Zuckerberg about childhood trauma, because that would have been a doozy, wouldn't it? But this particular clip from Family Guy is not referring to the Spotify deal at all. It's referring to the Netflix deal. Do you know, I'd forgotten they did the Live to Lead series that completely tanked, where they just cobbled together previously used clips that were supposed to be for another series, and then they just completely ran with it themselves. In fact, the people that took part in these kind of audio clips and visual clips about the topic had no idea that it was going to be Harry and Meghan at all. They literally just overtook it and ran with it. It completely tanked. That's the power of the Sussexes, ladies and gents. And this goes to prove that the only real, tangible, interesting aspects about these two are the fact that they're connected to the royal family. And unless they are talking about the royal family, nothing they ever do will be successful. And they will get mocked and ridiculed because of the way that they have behaved. They have become laughingstocks. Although I do have to note that kind of Family Guy got it wrong. They don't get paid for Instagram because they're not on Instagram. But maybe that is also another tongue-in-cheek from Family Guy in saying that's all they're really worth. That the only tangible aspect that they have now to make money is Instagram. And even that, I don't think would actually be quite beneficial enough to make money because they're too delicate to be on social media. They wouldn't put up with it. If you look at the past from their Sussex Royal Instagram, a lot of the comments were deleted or they were limited because they are who they are and they're so divisive. Now, I know people troll. I know that in this modern society, trolls are expected on social media. It's just a fact of life. It happens. But you've got to have a thick skin to be able to cope with the pressures of being in the public eye. And neither of these two have thick skins at all. They can't cope with it. They bang on about the dangers of social media all the time. In fact, they're still doing it. Only last month did they sit on a stage in New York with the Mental Health Day and bang on about how bad social media is. And now that Family Guy have taken a swipe, well, they're not going to like that, are they? I honestly don't think that these two have a humorous bone in their body. I really, really don't. They don't find anything funny and it's too serious and have a little bit of light-heartedness about yourselves. Joke about yourselves, for goodness sake. I take the mick out of myself all the time. It's the best way to be. Don't take life so seriously. You get one life, and I say have a laugh throughout it. Somehow I don't think they're going to find this funny, the fact that Family Guy has painted them as lazy, entitled, work-shy grifters. Do you want to know one of the funniest things about this? Apparently, Harry loves Family Guy. Oh, sweet justice. I do take umbrance to the last line where he says that I shouldn't have left the completely made-up thing, and the fact that Family Guy are kind of mocking our royal family. But that's just Family Guy. I understand that. It is kind of killing two birds with one stone with regards to the royal family and with Family Guy kind of taking the mick out of it all. But predominantly they are taking the mick out of Harry and Meghan. Now, while I laugh at this, I'm also aware that one of the writers from Family Guy is Gary Janetti. Now, he was the one that took a swipe at Prince George in that horrible satire cartoon. So really, technically, I really shouldn't laugh at this because of the way that he treated the children of the royal family. And it's interesting to see that Gary Janetti, sorry, my mistake, took a pop at the Cambridge's children, but not at Harry and Meghan's children. That speaks a lot, to be perfectly honest. Now, full disclosure, I have never seen an episode of Family Guy, ever. It's not my cup of tea. But the fact that they're making fun of Harry and Meghan, I have to talk about. South Park, however, I've watched a lot of South Park, but Family Guy never really piqued my interest and I never really got it. Now, playing devil's advocate, you could say the fact that Family Guy are doing this means they're relevant and popular. I tend to disagree. I think that they are laughingstocks. But of course, that's just my own personal opinion. This wouldn't have happened when they left the royal family, but it's the fact that they have done what they have done over the last 2 years that have made them this way. They are their own worst enemy. Now, while I say that I haven't ever watched Family Guy, I did watch this particular clip because it's going around on social media, and I must say, South Park knocks it out of the park. Sorry, it does. They dedicated a whole episode to Harry and Meghan. For a Family Guy, it was just a little bit of a dig, but it's still funny. And the irony isn't lost on me that they're being mocked by a programme called Family Guy when, in fact, they have shunned their entire family. The only family that they haven't shunned is Doria. Interestingly little fact here. Family Guy creator and voice of Peter Griffin, which is a character apparently in Family Guy, and he is called Seth MacFarlane. Now, do you want to know whose company he's represented by? He's repped by WME, the same people that rep Meghan Markle. Ooh, that's gotta hurt, hasn't it? However, that got me thinking, could this very well be a marketing double bluff where they were well aware, Harry and Meghan were well aware of what they were going to do because they share the same PR agency and they thought it would get them the headlines? Is that a possibility? You know, Family Guy and to an extent South Park are well aware for taking digs at celebrities. Family Guy more particularly, but apparently also I read. So were they aware of this all along and it just purely for clicks? I wouldn't put it past them. So is that in the realms of possibility? The fact that they share, Seth MacFarlane and Meghan Markle share the same PR company. Would it be beneficial to the Harkles to actually be mocked on Family Guy? Or do you just think that it just makes them even more laughingstocks and they weren't aware? And how do you think they're feeling about it now? I think actually Family Guy were quite kind to them and it made them seem like that they were able to make money from nothing. Before I end this video, I have to mention the Ranker Vote on Everything. They, every year, run the most disliked celebrities of the year. And the most disliked celebrity of 2023, it's still ongoing, so if you want to vote, I'll put a link in the description box. Guess who's number 1? Yeah, Meghan. And number 2, Harry. Number 3, Oprah Winfrey. Number 4, Ellen DeGeneres. Number 5, Hilaria Baldwin. Or Hillary, whatever she wants to call herself. I think the top 3 and 4 all deserve an award for the disliked celebrity of 2023. But please, go ahead and vote for yourselves. Links in the box. Now, I know that that's just a silly little thing, but to me, it tickles me greatly. One thing is for sure is that Harry and Meghan are easy targets for satire. They really thought that they were going to take Hollywood by storm, and it just hasn't happened. And I think that is the greatest karma of all, to be perfectly honest. I'm just waiting for The Simpsons to do it next, because that one will be quite funny. I do watch The Simpsons, I love The Simpsons. But a lot of people have said Family Guy mocks every major celebrity or major famous person. But we've had now Family Guy and South Park. South Park was chef's kiss. Mwah, great, because it was an entire episode. This is only a tiny little bit in Family Guy. But it just goes to show you the level of understanding of what Harry and Meghan actually do and are worth. They're just known for doing nothing. They're known as grifters, they're known as work shy, and they're known because they're royalty. I mean, come on, that's a pretty terrible label to have, isn't it? So what do you all think about this? Do you think it's fuss over nothing? Family Guy does it to most people, and it's pretty norm for Family Guy. Do you think it's utterly hilarious that they've taken a swipe and called them basically grifters and lazy and entitled? What do you think about the connection between the sharing of the PR agency WME with Seth MacFarlane and Meghan Markle? Do you think that's a coincidence, or do you think they were in on it for the clicks and the news and the attention? As always, I would love to know your thoughts.
Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell and also that like button. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of my followers for all the tips and all the emails, DMs that everybody sends to me. It really is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for watching once again.